You look freshly shaved.
I love it. All right, we are officially on. How you doing? This is Julio Castellon, one of my closest buddies, member of Peña Malita Sur de California, coming to us from A-Town, right?
Beautiful Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, sir.
Yep, the Peach State.
The peach shade. It's actually sunny today, so it actually I'm pretending like I'm back home right now.
Yeah, we definitely miss you out here, man. You were there. You were there since September, right?
Been here since September. Spent the holidays back home, but obviously back home was a little rainy and cold. So yeah, missing home, man. I heard it's 80 degrees out. So
It is. It was the. I'd say it's the best week of weather in the region for the new year. It was 80, 75, 80 during the week. The sun was just shining bright, very few clouds. It's going to be a really, really nice weekend. So,
well,
so
and it comes, you're making me miss it even more. So
well,
I
no, I don't want to do that. I mean, you have some great weather coming up. You had some cold weather, obviously, but
true.
you know what I mean?
Looking forward to the humidity. Not.
See, we're not used to the humidity out here in Southern California.
Not at all. Not at all. But we'll see what happens. I'm excited to experience my first spring and summer. It's been nice to have a little bit of a change in climate. You see that, yeah, we actually have seasons here, so it's actually nice to experience that for the first time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's really, really great. So, just so everyone knows that's watching, I mean, you and I went to high school together. You were a year ahead of me. It's just a long friendship it's one of those that just goes on for decades, many more hopefully to come. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's one of those where you're right. It's you look back in life and you say, "Hey, I've known that guy for X amount of years." So that's the route we're going right now. So yes, it's been a long time.
Yeah. So thanks for coming on, dude. It's really great. So you are the first. We're making history. You're the first Madridista that we have that also is supporting an English club, which you're donning the hat. So why don't you talk a little bit about the current now world champions?
Uh, Thank you. Well, thank you first off for inviting me on. It's one of those where we've always had sports debates every time we have dinner, and it's one of those where it's kind of we're now able to do it, I guess, in a live setting. But as you said, I'm a Madridista, but definitely a huge Chelsea fan. Big win today. Actually, were able to cap off the last trophy that they haven't won in their history as champions of the world. So it was actually a great game to watch. And yes, so I'm half and half Madridista, half Chelsea. So it was good. It was great to actually see the club, be able to win that last trophy.
Yeah, it was Abramovich was there. You're the owner.
Finally, the
Uh,
owner was finally there. Yes.
yeah, it's So, what were your impressions of the game? Why don't we start there? We'll get to the Villarreal game in a second, but this is a bigger deal. It's a Club World Cup final in Abu Dhabi. What were your impressions of the game? Went 120 minutes.
Yeah, so it was a typical Chelsea to Tuchel game. Chelsea had the dominant of the ball, at least 70% of possession, which is something that they're very, very good in the aspect of a tremendous midfield game with stoppers, I think, in the back with the defenders. I was really surprised to see Palmeiras play the way they did. I'm not a big Brazilian league follower myself, but they were pressing. They did have a few chances, but strictly on the counter attack, where I think that's where Chelsea has to work the most on. That's where they definitely have the biggest difficulty when it comes to opponents. But it was nice to see Tuchel back at it after COVID hit him and he was away from the team for a little bit. It was nice to see a lot of players come in, step up. Usually Tuchel likes to rely on a certain amount of, about 12 to 13 players, which, as you know, with different competitions throughout the year, you got to keep them healthy. You got to keep them fresh. Right. And so Chelsea has been hit with the injury bug. So it was nice to see once again the possession game. Lukaku right, has been in the media for a while now with his lack of production. He was able to get a huge goal, which I think was able to power him for the rest of the game.
Yeah. I have to say the crowd support was surprising. Palmeiras, their support traveled very well. I mean, it looked like 50% of that stadium was green and white, and there was maybe a blue corner, which was the Chelsea corner. They Palmeiras. What surprised me, I'd never seen Palmeiras until this game actually. Chelsea, I haven't seen since the fall, so I was a little behind the eight ball in terms of gauging where the teams are, right? Palmeiras, they executed their game plan perfectly in the first half. They really did. They were gonna wait in their own field. They were gonna let Chelsea have the ball. They were gonna close up space. They had five in the back, which completely confused Chelsea's offense. You know what I mean? Chelsea looked frustrated, static. They were calling a lot of audibles. They were just communicating with each other, but they just didn't know where to break it. The dam was there. But then, of course, that goal, Lukaku, that was a terrific cross and right on the money.
And to go on that, it was huge because we're playing Calamadoy, who's a righty, who's used to playing as a winger,
Mhm.
now playing in that wing back position and playing on his opposite side on the left. So to be able to see him swing with his left was, to me, was very, very impressive. And like you said, it seemed like Palmeiras was almost parking the bus, as you were saying, and then once again trying to counter and being quick on it. Like you said, I was very, very surprised. I would say more so it was 70-30 with the amount of supporters that Palmeiras traveled. But like you said, it definitely was the first half was a lot of the even and keel the feel, and then second half, I think both teams came out swinging.
It was the second half was exciting because you had both teams attacking on it. The game started to open up. There were opportunities. Chelsea started to get into a rhythm, and Palmeiras looking to respond. But then it tightened up again. It tightened up again up until the end of the 90 minutes. Then you're in extra time. Palmeiras looked tired. They ran a lot. They were running behind the ball constantly the first 90. I don't think they were fit for 120 minutes. I think Chelsea was more fit.
That is one. I also think a big key in the game was, I mean, we'll see what happens, and hopefully he's not out for too much time. When Mount went down, it was
Yes.
an immediate change for Pulisic, who, right, has a lot to prove. Played pretty well or okay with the national team during the break, but now he came in, he gave that extra spark, was causing that fuss within, going down the wing and also at Liberty going on the inside, which, like you said, I think caused these guys to kind of tire them out a little bit more. And I
Yeah.
think it gave them a little bit more of that spark.
Yeah, and the one final note I wanted to mention is that the VAR worked perfectly in this game.
I agree.
Perfectly.
I agree.
What I don't understand is that in a FIFA event, the VAR is perfect. There are very few errors, very few. And I point out the World Cup in Russia, which was 4 years ago, the VAR was used in that tournament, and it was over 95% accurate in their application and execution. But for some reason, in the lower confederations, whether it's the Euro or Copa America or CONCACAF or even the club level in certain countries, it is absolutely porous. I don't know. Do you have any insight as to why that is?
And that's what I'm not really understanding, right? So, and going into that, I think the CONCACAF actually just put it in. I think they just started with the VAR this last international break, if I remember correctly. And as you can see, it played really well. I think, like you said, the UEFA's and those lower tournaments are going to have to be able to put it in, because you see the outcry, you see how accurate they are. And the good thing is, right, it's kind of like going on to a different sport, like for like a baseball, right, where they don't want to slow the game up even more. I think today especially showed the ref went straight to the TV, took about 10 seconds, came back, and he made the play. And I think if you're able to speed up the game like that, right, not have it too slow, then there's actually there should be no cry over why you shouldn't have it universally. to be honest.
Well, it's just actually what really made me laugh is that the ref would look like he's leaving the stadium because they
Right?
put the monitor so far away. I'm like, could you put the monitor a little closer to the field? Because it looked like the guy's going to the restroom.
Right. And I was confused too. Why is he going so deep into the tunnel? But you're right. But if you saw how quick it was in and out. And he made the correct call. And I think, I think at some point VR is going to have to. I mean, especially with the accuracy, there's going to be outcrying to know that. I think it's going to have to be universally used.
Well, it is implemented, but it is not it's not applied correctly. It is not consistent. It is poor. And this is where I'm going to lead in to the Villarreal Real Madrid game.
Right.
Okay. So in that game that happened today in La Ceramica, Real Madrid playing Villarreal, which is a top 6 team defending Europa League champs. They're in Champions League round of 16. They played Juventus, and playing Real Madrid at home. This is a very difficult game for both teams, really. But we're going to stick with Real Madrid more because their Champions League game against PSG is on Tuesday. In this game, there were 2 or 3 instances where VAR could have been utilized. I'm not saying that they would reverse the call, or I'm not going to go there, but they did not utilize it officially. I don't know if there were conversations because there were a couple of plays where Vinicius got hit by the opposing player, either elbow to the head or he got tripped up, and there was no foul called, and it could have led to a penalty, it could have led to a free kick situation, and they were not utilized, and it was like it looked like a clear cut intervention that happened outside of the rules, right?
Right.
Now in this game, you know, both teams were feeling each other out. Villarreal came out ahead in the beginning. They were just gunning it. They were trying to go after that first goal. Madrid offensively were just non-existent, really. And this game, Gareth Bale started. Vinicius came back from injury. Asensio was up there as well. But Modric was on the bench. Valverde started. Marcelo was getting beat constantly on his end. I was expecting there to be a sub at halftime because it was only a matter of time if you looked at how it was in defending. But you know, Villarreal were better in the first half. Real Madrid better in the second half. You know, Bale had a couple chances. Jovic had a late opportunity that hit the crossbar. 0-0 tie. Both teams get a point each. Sevilla beat Elche at home, which is not a good result for Madrid because we tied them at home. Elche, speaking of that, so that people need to understand when you're going after a title and your next opponent behind you is getting better results than you did against that same team, that's not a good result for you, no matter what you did today, because you blew it against the other team that they picked up points on. You know what I mean? So substitutions happened in the 70th minute, 75th, 80th. That was where Ancelotti made his subs. I think they were a little late. 0-0. Madrid are up by 4 against Sevilla. They got 14 games to go. 42 points are still out there. So, you know, Julio, this type of result, are you content with a result like that? 0-0 against Villarreal, or how would you see that?
Well, then the way I would see it, and I guess it's gonna kind of a question back on you before. So, right, absolutely not. So right now, what they're 4 points up,
Yes.
I think on number 2. And this is the thing, right? Ancelotti, what is he prioritizing? Right, you're always going to prioritize. I would assume the Champions League if you had to pick one over La Liga. So obviously, Madrid is suffering from injuries like every other squad in the world. Right. So then my question, do you think right off the bat, do you think he got the starting 11 correctly? Specifically, I think
No.
you're talking about your top 3,
No.
right? What would you have done differently knowing that you have a big game again, a pretty also hurt, but yet a big name in PSG,
Yeah.
right?
First of all, let me just preface this with hindsight is always 2020. Okay. I just wanted to let everybody understand that. Okay. I mean, just putting that out there. He got it wrong with Marcelo instead of Nacho. And he could have corrected that at halftime, but he did not. He chose not to, and went all the way to almost to the end. You know, it didn't cost the game, but that if you had seen that that forward for Villarreal, I forgot his name, Yeah, it's just he was beating him every which way possible on that end line and compromising the entire defensive line. Thank goodness for Militao being super sharp and Courtois being Courtois, basically. I mean, that would have really hurt. The other thing is you had I don't have a problem with Bale being up there, but I think Jovic should have been up there
I agree.
from the start. I think Jovic should have been center forward, Bale on the right, Asensio coming in second half to bring some energy, that type of manner. So I think Ancelotti, he got it correct in resting Modric and putting Valverde in there. Granted, that's a good rotation, obviously. But
Right.
on the other end, the offensive set, not too big a fan of it. Because we had seen Asensio at that false number 9 role, and he's completely lost. So what does he do? He treks back, he goes to the right, so he's a free flowing, player. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. So, and that's the thing too, right? So I guess to that is, so it now they go there. So do you stick with the same, I would say, right? Because we're talking midfield and your back four is going to be pretty solid. I mean, give or take Marcelo, but as you know who you're going to get in the midfield. You're going to get the Casemiros with, Kroos and Modric. So now it's who's going to be your top three, right? Knowing now PSG. So if that's the case, he probably did it with the intention of trying for a little bit more of that firepower against PSG. So if that's the case, what does he do?
Well, but okay, the thing is, Vinicius is coming back from injury. Karim is not back yet. He didn't even come in for this game.
Yeah.
So we don't know where that stands. It's just that I know there's a number of other Madridistas out there that will share the sentiment, is that you have Eden Hazard on the bench, for crying out loud.
Exactly.
You got some veterans, you got pieces there to use in your rotation. I mean, it's just something about it where it, like, Carleto gets stubborn, and he has a rotation that he has set that worked extremely well. It looked like in the fall, but here we are late winter, and the results are not coming up as you want, and you don't want to compromise yourself further. That's time. It's time for the reinforcements to step up, but you have to work them in a
And
manner,
that's
right?
exactly what I was kind of waiting for, right? I've seen, right, being the Chelsea fan that I am, I've seen Hazard just be one of the greatest players in the world. Yes, has things changed in the last 2 or 3 years? Of course. What I would have done is, right. So if Vinicius is coming off, right, of an injury, so you need to give him more time. I would have rested him and got him ready for PSG. I would have put Hazard in where he's at, and I would have started Jovic as your true number 9. Give or take, either you want to put Asensio or Bale, either or. I would have probably put Bale to leave Asensio ready for PSG.
Right.
Those are the changes I would have, knowing that you're gonna have that natural righty on the wing in Hazard, that natural lefty in either Bale or Asensio, and then you have your true number 9 in the middle,
Yeah.
right? I think that's, or maybe he's waiting to put that lineup out against PSG. If he didn't do it today, then I'm hoping he would think about, just because knowing what PSG, I think that's where they are. They're soft. I think definitely in the middle. I think that's where you're going to need some height, and maybe that's what he's doing with Jovic, right? But right, it's one of those checkers, right? Obviously, there's a reason why we're not coaching right now, right?
No, of
But it's
course.
easy to be able to analyze that and see it, that there's just things that don't make sense. It
No,
didn't make sense
no,
today.
no. It's just. I mean, let's just put it in perspective. I mean, if let's say, for example, I mean, because we know this gentleman extremely well. He managed at Madrid years ago. Is Mourinho? Mourinho, what he would have done in this situation, where he's confronting an important Champions League game in the middle of the week. If you
Right.
have a La Liga game in the weekend, what he would do is he would put a reserve for an
Of course.
hour, for an hour,
For an
no
hour.
matter
Yep.
what the result was. He'll pull
Yep.
that one and put the starter in for a half an hour, just
Yep.
to get the legs,
Get him ready.
be fresh, and
Right.
finish the game out. That's what I was thinking was going to occur around the 65th minute mark. I was thinking, okay, Vinicius is back from his injury. Okay, fine. So if you have Hazard start out and you play him 60, 65 minutes, and then you bring Vinicius on, actually that really helps, because Vinicius, being a young buck, he can really put pressure on a defense that's already tired. They're
Mhm.
not at the same level.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like those type of details I think really do matter. They really do as the season goes. You know what I mean?
And then it's one of those where hopefully they don't Madrid wipes it off today and goes forward and doesn't bring, I guess, that confidence, that down confidence into that game, because
Well,
you got
no. It's like you have one eye here, one eye there, kind of a deal.
right.
You
Well,
know,
yeah. You also don't want the players to second guess what your coach is doing, right? As in, like, what
no,
calls are
no,
you?
no. You wouldn't want them to second guess. But what I saw, now let me backtrack a little to the
Yeah,
Chelsea game.
yeah,
Like, for example, the reason why Chelsea, I think, is the most formidable team in Europe at the moment, I mean, to win the Champions League, I mean, they're number one in my book right at this moment, is because they have a game plan. They have a system. They have a system, but when the system doesn't work, they call audibles. They have options. They have
yeah,
players that are interchangeable at key positions. So you don't know where the threat's going to come from. It could come from the middle, it could come from the side, it could come in the air. You don't know. You can't. It's very difficult to neutralize a team of that nature for a period of time. With regard to Real Madrid, you know exactly where the strength is. You know
yeah.
exactly where the weaknesses are. That's the difference between the two. Madrid
And
is still a favorite, but they're not like, oh man, this team, you run into them, God help you.
no, and that's where you're completely right. And I would say, I mean, Chelsea's roster arguably is the best in the world. And I think that's where I think Madrid right now is lacking. Is they have a tough, and if they were to put their best 11, arguably it's one of the top 3 to 5, probably top 3 starting 11s in the world. But injuries are going to happen.
Yep.
So what happens with that? And I think that's probably is the bench. That is where if a guy at God forbid anything happens, if a guy pulls up with has a tweak in the hammy or feels something in the foot and they have to come off, is what do we do now? Right. And like you said, is Madrid able to go from a back four to a back three? Right. And that's where Tuchel, going back to Chelsea, naturally back three, but easily can pull into a back four and be able to either play one striker, play two up top, or do 1-on-1. Can Madrid do that? And I think I think to go back to your comment, I think that's going to be the issue: is how far is Ancelotti want to be able to kind of tweak and be able to take some risks? Because I mean, honestly, how much time in during the week do you have to tweak with something like that? When you have guys who are spending more time in the training room than actually on the pitch, right? So I think that's also a thing as well.
Yeah. We have to see how this plays out moving into the Tuesday game, which, of course, is getting a lot of attention by every media outlet in the known universe, obviously.
Right.
This is a matchup of two league leaders currently, and a lot of firepower being discussed. Madrid, I would say, is not 100%. Not only the fact that we don't know how Karim Benzema is right now, but Mendy, our left back, we don't know how fit he is. If he's back at 100%, he didn't even appear today. So those are two very important positions. Number one, on our offense, Karim is not only the scorer, but he is a facilitator, big time. Now, on the defensive end, Mendy guarding the left side, normally in PSG, Messi is the one that's on the right, or Di Maria.
Correct.
So, or Mbappe, if they interchange.
Correct.
Very, very difficult when you have those positions. They're question marks. Let's put it that way. They're question marks.
And
So,
that's the thing you can put, and like you said, you better make sure that your two backs are right and left wingers are on it, right? Because like you said, you have those interchangeable guys, they can switch. So does that mean you put a Nacho out there? Is Lucas Vasquez even available, right? So do you sacrifice that height for the speed? I think this is one of the games where you look at speed, right? Because you need to be able to get your guy on the ball. It's a lot better to have a smaller guy who's quick and fast, who's going to at least be able to stand in front of a player, rather than having that big, tall, can be able to defend in the air and not be able to keep up with the foot speed. So
mhm.
it's what do you do there? Casemiro, I think I think he's going to have to play almost that old school sweeper kind of game. I think you're going to have to put him right in front of those two center backs, waiting for, Matt, we've had conversations about this all the time. You know where Messi's going. You know where he's going. So you need to have somebody on the right hand, to his right, to his left, to the defender's right. He's not going anywhere else. So if you can stop that with a Casemiro standing right there, and then you take your chances on having Mbappe, or you just cannot let Messi beat you. That's it.
Right.
Neymar's out, right? Neymar is out, which that's also a player I wouldn't be too worried about, but at least he's out. So I think if you're able to play with them like that, Madrid, even with all the injuries, have way more than a chance to
Yeah,
win.
I mean, this game coming up, it's a road game. We have a second leg meeting in March in Madrid. So it is not a requirement to win. Okay, I'm just going to say it's not a requirement. Would we love a win? Absolutely. No doubt about it, but it is not a requirement. So the next best result is a tie. A tie, not 0-0 tie, because that leaves it wide open in the second leg. A 1-1 tie or 2-2 tie, those are the ties that you look for, because then you're able to have the away goal. You're able to say, okay, I cracked the net of the opposing team, and you come home and you got to win at home. But in this situation, I think that Madrid are going to be trying to come out and not risk too much offensively. They're
I agree.
looking to pick and choose their spots. And I would point out as well that the game that we played against Athletic Bilbao in the quarterfinals of the Copa del Rey in San Mamés, that defensive sharpness and effort is exactly what needs to happen in Paris. The exact same performance defensively. I don't know if you saw that game, but in that game, Athletic Bilbao, they were trying very hard to get a goal against Madrid, and Madrid just, the center backs, the midfield were in absolute coordination. They were able to crowd, they were able to recuperate, they were able to steal possession, they were able to just lock it up completely. And they did it so in such a disciplined manner that they were able to hold that as long as they could. I mean, it held until the 88th minute, until Casemiro had a terrible pass to the opponent and led to the goal, which compromised the advance to the semifinals. But the sharpness and the effort on the defensive end is, I think, what Madrid need to bring to Paris.
But then I would go against you in that. I think Madrid, I think with Neymar out, because you don't know if he's going to be back, and him on the field is going to give him extra firepower, regardless of how we feel about it. We know he's going to be out. So I think it's right now where they have to try and capitalize. Maybe you, like you said, focus a little bit, bring the midfield a little bit further back, and not allow the easy goals, but be ready for that counter, because you're going to get counters. So you have to focus on what are you going to try and do with those counters, right? So I think that's where you have to change up that three. Definitely the Hazard. I put Jovic and Vinicius if he's healthy. If
No,
not,
so let's get into that. So let's say you have the hat of being manager for Tuesday's game. You have
right.
to select your starting 11. Who do you go with?
So I would say that your back four is going to be, so your two starting center halves is Militao. Mendy's is out.
Let's assume he's available.
I definitely would play him. I would put those two in the middle.
Okay.
I would then, is Carvajal going to be available?
Yeah, he played today.
Carvajal on one side, and honestly, because of the speed, I'd put Lucas Vasquez if he's available.
So Lucas Vasquez is left back.
I put him on right, and I put Carvajal on the left, because Carvajal has more experience in that. Vasquez is more of a natural righty, and he has that speed and he has that experience. Mm-hmm. I would put those four in the back. Obviously, your three in the middle.
Yeah.
That's Casemiro, Kroos, and Modric. I would focus more on Casemiro playing that sweeper role, right? You don't see that much now in today's game, but I think you have to put him right above the two center backs, because you got to be. He's almost going to be tracking word for where Messi's going to go, and you know where he's going to go. He's going one way, one direction only.
Well, it isn't just, you know what? I don't think we should just mention Messi. I think we have to mention Di Maria too, because he could start.
That okay? Okay.
Di Maria, okay, just Di Maria, Messi was not playing for Argentina in this recent FIFA break, but Di
Right.
Maria did. And Di Maria is in form. He is in great form.
True. Either way, either one is going, you know what direction they're going. They are 85% left footers. They're going one way, they're going right. You want them to go left. That's fine. That's your bread and butter. If that's the case, you give your defense enough time to come up, and most of the time it's not going to be point on.
So who would you have up top?
Well, obviously, I don't think Benzema is Benzema. There's no way I even debate playing him because it's a hamstring. So even if he says I'm a go, there's no way. I'm not risking him for the next month and a half, maybe 2 months. I think you definitely put Hazard on the right. Hazard has a history of coming up big, but especially in big games. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely put him on the right hand side. I think he doesn't have the speed he once did, but his technical ability on the ball is still there. I'd put him on the right. On the left, I'd put Vinicius, right? He's better with the feet. He's better get those angles. And you know what? I think you have to put Jokic on at your number 9. He gives you that height. He gives you that true number 9. He's okay with his back towards the net. And I think that's what's going to create a bit. I don't think you can play with a false 9 in this game. I don't think you can. If you want to say, okay, let's play Bale on the left and Vinicius on the right, I'm okay with that. But you have to be prepared. Like, as you said, Ancelotti has a not the best sense of time of when to make those substitutes. That's what I would do. What about you? What would be your ultimate number 11?
Well, I mean, we both agree. Obviously, Courtois is going to start at goalie.
Yeah, that's not even.
You just have to mention him. I mean, obviously, you have to. Back line, I actually would be a different back line for me. I think Madrid would have to put. I think on the left side you have Mendy on the left side. I would have him starting. I would have Nacho and Militao, actually, not Alaba. I would have Nacho and Militao. I would have Carvajal on the right. Midfield, I would have Casemiro, Cruz, Modric, obviously, the 3. The 3 up top, I would actually have Vinicius on the left. I would have Eden Hazard on the right. And I would actually not start with Jovic, to be honest with you. I would start with Rodrigo.
Okay.
I would start with Rodrigo, and I'm going to say why. Because this is not a situation where you're going to have a lot of possession on the opposing field and crossing the ball in. I don't see that. What I see is that there's going to be a lot of space back there for Madrid to operate. And when you have a lot of space, you need a lot of speed.
Right.
And Rodrigo is faster than Jovic. Jovic is terrific in the area. He can associate with nearby players when there's a lot of traffic. Fair enough. But I think that if you have those 3 up top, that's going to wreak havoc on the PSG defense. And they're going to have to compensate for that speed by pulling their midfield further back. And what that does is that they're not going to be pressing so hard with so many players because they're worried about a counter. So then that's going to open the game up a little bit more.
And in that sense,
less stress on our defense. And we put less stress on our defense.
No, and that's you're on it in there. So that would mean it's going to be an interchangeable of Vinicius and Rodrigo switching. Hazard's always going to stay on the, which is good because you want that speed, and that back 4 of PSG is very vulnerable. And you're right, and that's where they're going to be had. Right. I think if you get back there, but then my only issue is we're still going to be, what if those free kicks, right? Kroos is going to put the ball where you want it. And you lack that size in the air. And that's my only thing in that, right? And I would agree with you, the Nacho in the back line, the experience is good. I just worry about that height in that.
But PSG are not a very tall team. They're not really tall. They're athletic, but they're not towering. They're not like Bayern that has Lewandowski, which is a trunk in the area. They have speedy forwards, talented forwards up top, but they're not those that are going to be constantly getting the ball in the air. They're going to use a lot of shots outside the box. They're going to do a lot of give and go, which requires a lot of quick reaction. They're going to try to zip in past the line. They're going to test that last line with their runs and filtrating passes. That's something that they're going to look into and try to break on
Right.
on right. It's just that, I think that Madrid in this game, I mean, again, if we were 100%, I mean, if we had our top players available, I would go in there saying, you know what, got to go for the jugular, force them into stopping us. But unfortunately, reality at the moment, after what I saw today against Villarreal, can we hold? Yeah, we can hold. But in doing it back and forth, and this is a team that can run, and they're very talented up top. You don't want to allow 1, 2, 3 goals. You can't do that in a knockout stage.
No, you can't allow that. They can't, and they have to be completely honest with you. There's no way they can go back home to Madrid down 2-0 or down 2 goals.
No,
You can't. You just can't allow that.
we can't be down 2, 3 goals because we don't have the team we had 7 years ago. We don't have that team.
Right.
We don't have that firepower where we could be down 2, 3 goals. We come home and we blitz them. We
Right.
just don't have it. Do we have enough to advance by 1 goal? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do we have enough to advance by penalties? Absolutely. If it goes the distance, Madrid is in a pole position favorite in that regard. You know what I mean?
And it's just one of those where you don't know when your stars, quote unquote, are going to be healthy. So you can't rely on that thinking, hey, we're going to go back home and a Benzema is going to be ready to go. That's definitely not the mentality you have to go. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I'm very interested to see. I think we're going to really see Ancelotti's plan as to, did he put this lineup out today to prepare for next week? That's going to be very, very telling.
Yeah, today's result, not a great result. It's a good result. Okay, I mean, I've said this before, is that this is a team that's top 6, and you're on the road, and they're in Champions League currently right now. I mean, a tie is a good result. You get a point out of that stadium. Unfortunately, we tied them at home, so we only got 2 out of 6 points against them, which that's it is what it is.
It happens.
But Tuesday, I mean, no loss.
No.
Cannot lose that game. Gotta, whatever you can to win or tie that game. That the effort has to be there the whole 90 minutes, because PSG is going to come with everything. This could be their last home game in Champions League. That's the way they're going to come out.
Right.
And they have a lot to prove, because they've never won Champions League. They went to a final. They did 2 years ago. But they are trying to be the next Chelsea. They're trying to be the next monster that has that trophy in their stadium and build on that. So they're hunting. And what we're doing is we're trying to continue our history in trying to get that 14th title. It's just an absolute mismatch when it comes to the silverware that the clubs have on a continental level. And a domestic level for that matter, because you got new school against old school. It's just that PSG are going to come out with an edge, and Madrid have to be ready for that.
And to add on that, remember, it's Pochettino, right? Yeah. Pochettino has more to prove, I think, out of any manager. I would say in the top 10 of the best clubs in the world, right? I think he, obviously, what he didn't do at Tottenham, as we all know, is really, really telling. So I think he's under a lot of pressure, and he's going to put that pressure and instill that pressure into his players, because who knows? This could be telling for what happens to him in his PSG, right, in his PSG manager future.
You know what? Yeah, what's also interesting, and I'm interested to see this, is that PSG have a lot of cooks there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. You know how you've heard that phrase? We have a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and it's just there's indecision because you're not sure who's going to take the lead or whatever. Can you imagine if Madrid are leading this game into the second half and PSG are looking at each other like, who's going to take it? Who's going to take it? Is it me? Is it you? Like, and we're talking about the alphas. Like they've never been in that position before.
And it's going to be funny. And the aging Messi going to say, "Give me the ball," when it's been Mbappe's team the last few years? Like, no, I'm taking the ball. And can you only imagine if Neymar was on the field? So that's is another puzzle. You're right, and
Yeah.
it's going to be very interesting because if they go down 1-0 first half, holy wow! I would love to be a fly on that wall in the dressing room.
Yeah, because the thing is that in Madrid, you have your structure. You know who are the leaders. You know who are the ones that are following that. That you know where everyone knows what their role is on the team, and they know what they have to do together collectively, and to put forth that effort individually to get to that point. It's just that PSG have been a lot of flash and flare, and they can beat teams single handedly just on their talent alone, and many people have seen it in the French league this season, right? But in these type of situations where you're running against a blue blood, and that blue blood has great veterans and terrific leadership structure, and they don't get razzled, they don't get rattled. That if their backs are against the wall, how do they respond? And I don't think they've ever experienced that as a unit, maybe individually at their other clubs, but not as a unit.
Well, I think it goes back to, I think, a few conversations we've had in the past where we've talked about the best leagues in the world, right? What is the strongest and best league in the world? And it goes back to that. I think PSG is not challenged enough, right? That's why I think they always fall short in the big tournaments. If you look at the English teams, if you look at the Spanish teams, at the Italians, at the Germans, it's very rare where those top 3, 4 who go into the Champions League are knocked out so early or don't play well in a big cup or big final game. And why is that? It's because I think they are challenged so much more during the year. PSG, who has been other than PSG? Give me another winner in the last 10 or 15 years that is consistent and not a one-off like Monaco. I
This
mean,
past season,
okay,
Lille.
right? So if you really put it that way, I think they do themselves a disservice because they are stacked, right? They bring the best players, but the best players for what? Because you're gonna put 7 goals on a Marseille team, right? Or to what? Yeah, when you go against a Bayern Munich, when you guys against a Dortmund, when you go against a Madrid,
Barcelona in its heyday.
any of them. I mean, even if you were to put them against like an FC Porto, I think that would still give them more challenges, to be completely honest with you. And that's because it has to do with, it's unfortunate. It's not their fault that they're in a league surrounded with, I mean, English championship team level. But I think it affects them in the long run when you're really going to try and play for
I mean, yeah, you have a point about the levity of Ligue 1, which is in France, the competition they have domestically. I mean, I completely agree with you there. But Bayern Munich has the same thing in Bundesliga, and look at their decorations outside of Germany.
Very true.
So maybe, I mean, I'm not going to tell PSG what to do, obviously, but if it were me, and I'm heading that club, I mean, the model I would follow is not Chelsea. I would actually follow the Bayern Munich model, not Madrid either, because nobody can be Madrid. Nobody can in Europe. But if you're looking for trying to create something outside of your country, and you have a comparable example of another club that has a similar situation, but they are fierce outside of their borders in Champions League. Bayern Munich is, I mean, they for years they were La Bestia Negra for Real Madrid until 2014.
Yeah.
So that there are examples to follow. Not that they have to be this or that. Now, with regard to Madrid, I mean, let's say Tuesday, on Tuesday. What do you expect result wise? Do you have a prediction for the game, or are you letting it play out?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be, a 1-1 game. I think it's going to be a draw.
Me
I
too.
think,
I said the same. I think the same exact result. Yep.
I think it's going to be a 1-1 game. I really think Madrid is going to come out ready to go, knowing they've been there before, right? How many times have they been there? I really think, the speed. I think the speed is gonna catch PSG off guard, and obviously because of the firepower they have, the world class players that they have, they're gonna put in a goal. So I'm gonna say, going back to my lead, 1-1.
Yeah, I would agree with that actually. 1-1. I do think a 1-1 is going to happen. I think that I think Madrid I think they're going to find a way to get that goal. I think it's going to be 0-0 at the half. I think both teams are going to really feel each other. I don't think it's going to be gloves off and let's have at it 15 round heavyweight, but I don't see that. I see that in the second leg, but not the first leg. The first leg, both teams are going to come out, feel each other. They're going to see where they can pick and choose where the spots are for them to attack. It'll be a 0-0, I would expect at the half. But then the second half, I think PSG is going to come out more pressing harder. Madrid, I think, will score first. I think they'll get a counterattack goal or maybe a penalty. I think if they get in a situation where PSG is forced to make a foul in their area to stop a goal, I could totally see that happening. But then the firepower PSG have, can they tie it up in a short amount of time? Yeah, I could see that. I could
Right.
see that happening. Yeah, but a 1-1 is a better result for Real Madrid than PSG.
100%.
Better
PSG
result.
coming out for the win. PSG, like I said,
Have to
Pochettino has
PSG. I think PSG. You're correct. I think PSG. They have to go for the win at home because it puts less pressure for them in the second leg, not have to win in Madrid.
I agree. I agree.
Do,
I
do you
I
concur?
I concur, Dr. Connors. I concur.
All right, man. Moving along. So this is the final topic here is the
Yeah.
La Leyenda Blanca, the doc series on Amazon Prime. I know you sent me a screenshot of the title. So what are your impressions of it so far? How many episodes did you watch? Let me know. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I was able to watch 2 episodes. I think, first off, I mean, you knew I'm sure you know the history in and out of how the Real Madrid became to be the most valuable and most popular known club in any sport in the world. It was very refreshing to hear first accounts. We're talking from current current players, old players, but we're talking about newspaper writers, photographers from back in the 50s, from De Stefano, from the Bernabeu days. So it was very, very nice to hear those firsthand experiences. It was great to see those old video shots, especially going from black and white to color. It really brings it to life. It really gives you that little bit more of a emotion, because that's what we're used to seeing, right? It was really, it was lovely to see all the hardware. It was great just to get a little bit of the history, how it came about, where it really grew from the late 1940s to our now, and how Miss Don Bernabeu kind of just grew it up, and the kind of the fight of what a lot of owners and guys had to do here in the States, right? Kind of be able to take your vision and hear no's from everybody, but to still strive, right? And it's kind of that dream, right? And to see how it just grew. It was fantastic. I'm excited to learn more, right? And to hear more firsthand, to see, Hugo there talking with, going with Casillas and Arebola. It was just awesome to see. So I don't know, have you been able to see any of them yet?
Not yet. Not yet. I what I saw were still images during the production. I was able to see synopsis of the series. I had a chat. The last episode I recorded a week ago was with the creator of the series, Inigo de Carlos. I welcome you and everyone else to watch that. It's a terrific chat, and the trailer appears at the end. the teaser trailer is at the end of that episode. So you learn about the process of what he undertook. You learn about his connection to Real Madrid. This documentary series, I remember I wrote an article about this on MagicMadrid.com where I said that this is an intimate angle of the greatness.
Yeah.
This is, people know about Real Madrid at face value.
Right.
We know where they play. We know some of the biggest players that played there. On the surface, everybody knows in the world, but we don't know the story behind it. We don't know how.
Right.
When did it begin? How did it happen? Who were the principal players that made that possible?
Right.
And that's what this documentary series is more about. And you know, I would say this is for Madridistas. I think that this documentary, I mean, all Madridistas watching it are going to enjoy it, and I'm sure I'm going to be another one, and like you are enjoying it currently. But I would actually say that this documentary series is for the Madridistas that are brand new within the past 10 years. Within the past 10 years, new Madridistas that don't know the history, they don't know what it really is about yet. This documentary series really helps elevate that education of the club, you know, and also it helps neutral supporters who know of it want to become Madridistas, because that's the biggest point of the whole thing on why it's on Amazon Prime and not on Real Madrid TV. I had chats with friends that are on Real Madrid TV, and they were, they were happy about it, but they were like, oh, I wish it would have been on our channel. To be honest with you, I'm actually happy it's on a platform that's not a part of the club, because you want to expand your base. You already have people like you and I would watch Real Madrid TV, but we're already Madridistas. But if you go to Amazon Prime, which has over 200 million subscribers worldwide, you're going to reach people that never heard of Madrid, or they did, but they're not really closely connected. And now they'll be able to see it right there in front of their faces in a documentary series.
And I think also you open yourself up to those naysayers, right? As we speak about sports, to a different sport. We're diehard Lakers fans, right? Go LA Lakers. But everybody who's not a Lakers fan, is not from LA, hates the Lakers, right? Because of
Whoa,
that.
whoa, whoa, whoa! I don't agree with that. Wait,
No,
wait,
no,
wait.
no. I agree. I agree. No, trust me. I am in Atlanta, and I will tell you, it is very tough to find. And why? It's because, and let me just make a point why I say that. It's because of the jealousy, of how successful they've been. So I think of having this documentary on Prime gives those naysayers, those fans who just don't allow themselves to become Real Madrid fans, is because I don't want to root or keep rooting for the best, right? Or why they keep winning. But this gives you into insight of what, more than just the titles. It shows you how much Bernabeu did to grow the sport.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you this. I didn't know he was one of the influencers to create the Champions League, to
Yes.
create the European Cup. So it gives you more of that appreciation. And that's what I mean in that aspect, is to where it opens that up more, as to realize, oh, like this franchise, this community, this everything, it started off correctly, and it's always done things correctly and done by the book. And it just so happens that they were so well adversed into the business aspect, right? Into that's allowed them to become so successful. It wasn't something that just happened overnight, like we can say with a lot of other franchises in different sports around the world.
Yeah, let me clarify for my reaction about what you said about the Lakers outside of LA. I'm operating off of memory here, and I mean, I just to be clear,
Yeah.
because there was a time where the Lakers would play outside of LA, road games, and half the stadium were Laker fans, and they're not from LA. I mean, look, we can travel, but we rarely do, because where we are.
Exactly.
So just throwing it out there. I mean, I did travel.
You're right. You're right in that aspect.
I'm just saying that, the popularity is enormous because of the brand and what the club had as championships. But anyway, I digress. what this really does, it help, and just, I'm glad you pointed that out about the naysayers. There's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be haters, no matter what, no matter what. But what is great about doing a doc series on a neutral platform is that you're able to put out a message to people that don't usually follow the club. And the best example I can come up with is Duke University basketball, because that Duke for many years in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s were the most hated university in college basketball.
Right.
Hated. Not
Right.
anyone outside of Durham, forget about it. It's Durham or bust, basically. That was their. But what did they do? This is something that was extremely smart. They started to open up access to ESPN because ESPN had a contract for the ACC. So
Right.
they started to do a lot of inside access to Coach K, inside access to their facilities, inside access to the history of Duke. And they started to showcase their school and their history and the players tied to it on ESPN, not on Duke TV, but they did on ESPN, and that was able to broaden their appeal to other parts of the country. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so under that model, Madrid is trying to do that on the global stage.
And I completely agree with you. And I think this is only, I mean, they are one of the biggest brands, not just sports brands, but one of the biggest brands in the entire world. This is only going to solidify that and make it bigger. But also, like you said, for all the haters, really show you a glimpse as to how it started, and that since the beginning, the inception, nothing much has changed. It's always been kind of the same statement, kind of the same goals. And every franchise now strives to, no other, you can't say no franchise and team and anywhere in the world doesn't want to be like Real Madrid and on that kind of at the top of the mountain.
Right. Now, the stadium renovation is going to be done in December. And you know that the other two franchises Madrid are chasing when it comes to brand recognition and value is the Dallas Cowboys
Of course,
and the New York Yankees.
the Yankees.
Okay,
Yeah,
those are the two franchises that Madrid are behind.
right.
Now, I don't think Madrid don't I don't think they have enough to surpass the Cowboys. I just don't see it because the Cowboys with that stadium, with their elevated level of competitiveness now in the league, than what it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I think that they're going to keep on moving the mark, let's say, right? But I think that Madrid can take over the Yankees with the new stadium. I totally can see that.
And I'll go back to the documentary. I had no idea there's aerial shots from a drone that kind of pulls. There's like 15 like fields. Like how does that happen? But going back to your question, I definitely think, you know what, football, soccer is a true global sport. There's only more and more fans that happen on a daily basis, right? Baseball is an international, more so Southern America, Central America sport. Football is obvious, I think, huge, all US, a little bit of Europe. I think Madrid has the capability to not only pass the Yankees but get to the Cowboys. I just think it has to do with the progression of the sport,
Yeah.
right? How are they going to progress? That this is a conversation we can have on a different scale, but the Champions League, is that going to get broken up? Right, we're going into the things like that. There's different things that can happen within the sport that's going to be able to have things to move in a direction. It just depends on what happens and where the dominoes are going to fall.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's another thing is that not only the renovation that the stadium is undergoing, but also the new women's team. There's a
Yep.
women's division now inside the club, which did not exist before, and it took its time. Let's just say that it took its time, but it's finally here. It's
Yeah.
finally here. So now we have to see how that flourishes into this new decade that we're in, and moving forward. I think that Madrid are in a pole position to get to a level where they are just going to be a force, not only now, but in the future, the next 5, 7 years, they will definitely be a force to be reckoned with, not only in soccer, but all of sports in general.
I agree with you.
You know what I mean? So we're gonna have to see how that goes. So yeah, so we both say 1-1 against PSG. The game today against Villarreal tied 0-0, no harm, no foul, in that regard. We'll see if Karim starts. If Karim is going to play Monday, we have to see if he's going to be available as well. But yeah, a lot of I would say the pressure. I think bottom line in my eyes, the pressure is on PSG, not on Real Madrid. The pressure
100
is on PSG.
at home, 100%, 100.
Not
Pochettino.
only not only at home, no, not only at home in this tie, in this knockout round, they are under pressure.
I would go back and forth. PSG is. I mean, I don't know how to compare it to another team. They could be, what is a great analogy? My favorite football team, they're the Dallas Cowboys of the European soccer.
Well, how
They
so? They haven't won
as
anything
in
in
as
Europe.
true, as in expectations, as in there's so high expectations every single year. This year's a year. This year's a year. This year's a year, and nothing happens in that aspect. I don't think about championships. That and just a pure anticipation is we're going to bring in this player. We're going to bring in this player this year. We're going to bring, and it doesn't happen. It hasn't happened. So that's why I think there's more pressure on them because how many more years are you gonna buy Haaland and you're gonna buy what and then you're gonna buy Virgil van Dijk and then you're gonna buy who else are these is this club gonna try and bring in to try and win something? That's what
Zidane's assistant coach.
that's what see, they're gonna bring Zidane and play midfield. So that's what I mean. I do think Madrid in any aspect are gonna go for the win in general in this leg. But as I personally think the pressure is on Pochettino. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I'm saying PSG because they have much to prove in Europe. Madrid don't. Madrid are expected to win, obviously, but goes as normal for every game they play in, no matter what. It could be in an exhibition in Antarctica, or it could be the Champions League. Honestly, it's like whatever. But PSG, I'm just saying for the fact that they go out and they spend massive amounts of money. They're trying to do things their way. They're circumventing the process and just spitting in the faces of everyone in UEFA with their violations of financial fair play, and it's well documented.
right.
And the fact that they're still in Champions League is mind-boggling to me, and that tells me that politics matters more than rules at this point.
Absolutely.
And I could talk about another club, but I don't want to get into that because that's just me, obviously. So right before we wrap this up, man, it's been a phenomenal chat. This is really we have chats like this. Everyone knows we have chats like this. The first time we're doing this on the channel, and hopefully many more to come. But with Super Bowl in LA, Cincinnati Bengals, Los Angeles Rams, who you got?
Hometown Rams. I am a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, but everyone who knows me knows that I am born and bred in LA and bleed anything LA is, and Rams, it's going to be Rams. I think Rams are going to take it. I think Rams have the best overall team. I don't see how they lose unless Stafford throws 3 pick sixes, which I'm knocking on wood that happens. How about you? What do you think?
I have 2 bets running on this one. I have two $20 bets with a former coworker and my boss. I say the Bengals are going to win it.
Ooh,
Bengals are going to win it. I say the Bengals win it by 3 points in overtime.
Wow. Okay.
I think that I have a feeling that the Bengals defense is really going to come out and really going to showcase. I really believe they impressed me in Kansas City. Let's put it that way. What they did to Kansas City, right. I was just blown away by how much poise they had. Burrow is just a beast. Burrow is just a cold-blooded assassin. I mean, I saw him for his senior year at LSU, and he had the best LSU team in history, obviously. But his leadership, his ability to read situations, his ability to get out of the pocket, to make that pass or make that run, that fearless where he doesn't think, he just acts and he makes the right decision. I think him and the defense, which I think the defense is going to have a heck of a time. The Rams are very good, obviously. I mean, if the Bengals are leading into the fourth quarter, I have faith that they're going to pull it off. But if they're trailing in the fourth quarter, it's really almost game over. I think that the Rams would finish them off. I think it depends on who is ahead heading into the fourth. I think the
I'm
Bengals.
very excited. I haven't been this excited for an actual Super Bowl in years.
The first Super Bowl in LA in 28 years.
And that I haven't been so excited for a halftime show that I
And
can.
it was your team that won that Super Bowl.
Cowboys won in the Rose Bowl.
In the Rose Bowl.
In the Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
They beat the Steelers. No, they beat the Bills. I apologize.
The Bills.
I apologize.
Jim Kelly's Bills.
With the four-peat loser Bills. As we like to call them. But I'm excited for the halftime show. We're both big fans of the West Coast, hip hop with Dr. Dre and Snoop, and I'm a big Eminem fan and Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar. It's just going to be overall in the nicest stadium right now, arguably in the world, until the Bernabeu is completed. I'll say U.S. It's good. I mean, I from what I know so far.
I'm surprised you say that, man, with Cowboy Stadium in the mix.
I mean, come on, now Jerry World, that thing's is over a decade old. This SoFi is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even see 3/4 of it. It's underground. What
the fact apparently it can hold over 100,000 people.
Oh, it cannot. Who told you that?
That's what it's. Hey, I'm only reading
out loud. Listen, wait. Cowboy, I'm not cutting this off until we make some corrections here. All right, I'm pulling a Rogan. Hang on. Cowboy Stadium can hold over 100,000 because they have 80,000 seats and the rest is standing only and VIP. Correct. Okay, SoFi, however you want to pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce it, but anyway, whatever. Okay, they have, I believe, 70,000 seats, if I'm not mistaken, 67, 70,000. They have suites and they do have standing room, but they don't eclipse 100,000. No way.
Really? Okay, you could be right. All I know is there's a dome. It thing has a roof. It's a retractable roof.
Not a dome. It's a roof. It's a glass roof.
For no reason. Just put it that way. For no reason.
It's not even enclosed. It's not even enclosed. I mean, you can tell I'm not a fan of the stadium.
all I know is you're gonna be able to see planes landing and taking off from LAX every 10 minutes.
Right. See, that's the No. They have closed off that airspace.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, they closed off the airspace. So tomorrow it's going to be
better.
And on top of that, not only closing the airspace, but also they're going to be running patrols.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
I mean, you're on the West Coast, and you know who's our neighbors across the ocean. Not to mention, they have to do it. That's national security. I mean, this is what you get on executive Madridismo. You get Real Madrid, you get Super Bowl, you get national security. I mean, you never know what you get.
Then you're all right. Yeah, if you thought about it,
you never know. But anyway, just so people know that have never been to the stadium, never been to Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium it's in a hole where I would say the roof and the top level where you have the nosebleeds, that's ground level. And then the rest is underground. Underground, because LAX, the flights coming in and out are right over the stadium. No kidding. It is that is exactly how it is.
Yes, and that's why I'm excited though, man. I'm excited.
Well, I'm excited for this. I'm excited. I share that sentiment, but I'm excited for fellow Angelinos, me and you and others, that we've had a really rough go at it with COVID-19 and this pandemic. We've had a very rough go at it, and so I'm not happy about the leaders taking credit for this, but I'm happy for Angelinos hosting the Super Bowl in our house, and the world is going to have its eye on that game in our state, in our city. So I'm happy about that. Local economy is going to, is doing very well this weekend. And mind you, I told a couple of coworkers this, mind you, there's going to be so many people from Cincinnati that are going to be in town. It's going to be ridiculous. Cincinnati is going to have their people in the city.
I'm excited for that because they deserve that.
They do. Cincinnati has gone through terrible, terrible years in sports. I mean, horrible years.
Horrible.
Horrible. The Reds are terrible. The Bengals are now good, but there were years where they were the Bungles. Remember that?
So I'm excited for them because I think those fans like that are deserving, right? And especially during what happened the last couple of years, I think it's going to bring, no matter what happens, it's going to bring us all together, and hopefully it's a great game, man.
So for those people that are thinking, oh, it's a Rams home game, watch it. There's going to be a lot of people from Cincinnati. They do travel well. They have a major airport. They can get over here. This isn't the 1800s where
they still beat you up. They're about 4 days away.
I was already, you know what I was seeing on the road? I was seeing a lot of Ohio license plates.
Oh, they've
already.
Yeah. Taken 2 weeks off, man. This is their vacation. This is
any way to get out of that state.
Get out of there. Come enjoy some sun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've had amazing weather this week. I mean, it's perfect time for them, right?
Don't remind me.
We'll see how that goes, but I have 2 bets going on, and obviously the Super Bowl pool that we all play in. You're gonna participate in a square pool somewhere?
I do have a couple already written down. Yes, I've already done couple. Pick your box.
Did you what numbers do you have? Do you remember? I mean, I have some pretty bad numbers.
I don't remember. I'll text you though. I would text you and all that.
Because my numbers, the best one I saw was 3 and 9.
So it's either going to be field goal. Yeah, field goals.
Yeah, field goals pretty much. I mean, probably I have a shot at the first quarter, first half. But
field goals isn't a bad. I mean, as you're saying, both defenses could come up strong. The nerves. So that might be that could be winner, man.
Initially, of course, but at the end, you want the 7s and the 1s.
Oh yeah.
You want those numbers.
24, 28. Yeah.
I have a 9 and a 4. So 9 and a 3, 9 and a 4. I think those are pretty good because 24 to 9, 14 to 9.
Yeah. That could be it. Yeah, it could work out.
We'll see how it goes. I have a few of those squares, and we'll see how that happens. But I'm going to be watching the game over in Mission Viejo. So I'm not even going to be in LA County. I'm going to be in South Orange County.
You're going to be in the OC, man.
I'm going to be in the OC pool party. Can't wait. The first pool party in a long time. It's going to be a blast.
Well, I'm happy, man. I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for everyone down there.
Yeah, man. So anyway, we're about to close this up. Julio, you have one last message for everybody?
Yeah, everybody, hope everybody is staying safe out there. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with one of my best friends, Christian here. He is one of the biggest sports fanatics I know, but one of the biggest Madridistas that I know. Just continue to follow him, continue to educate yourself a little bit on what he knows, and hopefully, all his guests bring a little bit flavor and a little bit updates to your life. But again, thank you guys for letting me spend a little bit of time.
Yeah, and on behalf of everyone, congratulations on being world champions for the first time in your club history with Chelsea.
Go Blues, go Blues.
Congratulations to that, and I hope to God we don't run into you in Champions League.
You know what? It'd be a good sign. It'd be a good sign if we both did, because right now, it'd be a good sign. But hey, I told you, really quick, we always talked about if Madrid and Chelsea ever met, we would in Champions League, we would always decide we'd go to one of those games. Unfortunately, it happened during the worst pandemic of our lives, in COVID. Hopefully, one day soon, man, we'll be able to do that.
I totally would be for that. Absolutely. That is definitely a trip that I would love to do. I would love to go to Stamford Bridge and for having to be a Champions League game against Madrid and being in that corner, that left bottom corner, field level. Absolutely. I don't know where you'll sit, but that's where I'm going to sit.
I'd sit with you, my friend. I would sit with you, my friend.
You sit with me? You would sit with me. I appreciate that. You wouldn't be with Abramovich, right, in his game.
Absolutely not. That man would start from wanting to eat me alive.
Well, you know what? I don't think he's a guy that you want to watch a game with because he's
absolutely not.
His personality is not.
No emotions whatsoever. I don't think he even blinks.
Yeah, it's just he's not a guy that you want to. No. He's not. He's very.
He's not personable. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not personable. He's
at all.
He's counting his millions in his head.
Ding, ding.
Ka-ching.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, buddy. So stay safe over there in Atlanta. Hope to see you soon here in LA. And if I can make it out there to visit, I definitely would. Will, you know, we'll be in touch, obviously. And a la Madrid and go Blues, buddy, for you.
Much love, man. Thank you very much. We'll talk soon.